What was the single most important year in human history? Was it 1492, when Columbus sailed the ocean blue? Or 1945, the end of World War II and the dawn of the nuclear age? Maybe 1969, when humanity first stepped on the moon? These are all huge moments, but I want to argue for a year that, on the surface, might seem a lot less dramatic. A year that didn't have a single, world-shattering event, but instead was a quiet turning point that made everything we know today possible. I'm talking about the year 1879. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might just agree that this was the year that truly invented the modern world. So, why 1879? Let's start with something that's lighting up your screen right now. In a small lab in Menlo Park, New Jersey, a man with a wild shock of hair was obsessively testing thousands of materials. His name was Thomas Edison. And on October 22, 1879, he and his team finally succeeded. They tested a carbonized bamboo filament that glowed inside a vacuum-sealed glass bulb. It wasn't the first electric light, but it was the first practical, long-lasting, and commercially viable one. It burned for over 13 hours. This wasn't just an invention, it was the end of the night as humanity had known it for millennia. Suddenly, human activity wasn't dictated by the rising and setting of the sun. Factories could run 24/7, streets became safer, and homes were transformed. The electric light bulb didn't just illuminate our world, it fundamentally rewired our society and our relationship with time itself. This single invention paved the way for the entire electrical grid that powers our lives today. But the light bulb was just the beginning of what was happening in 1879. Let us travel from New Jersey to Germany. A psychologist and philosopher named Wilhelm Wundt did something revolutionary. In a small room at the University of Leipzig, he opened the world's first ever laboratory dedicated exclusively to psychological research. This might not sound as flashy as a light bulb, but its impact was just as profound. Before Wundt, the study of the mind was the domain of philosophers and theologians. It was all speculation and debate. Wundt said, "No, we can study the mind scientifically." He used methods like introspection, where trained observers would report their thoughts and feelings in response to stimuli. He measured reaction times. He was trying to break down consciousness into its basic components. Much like a chemist breaks down a compound, this was the birth of psychology as a modern experimental science. Every time you read about a psychological study, every time we talk about mental health in a clinical way, we're standing on the foundation Wundt built in that small German lab in 1879. Now, let's switch gears from the mind to our health. Also in 1879, in France, the brilliant chemist and microbiologist Louis Pasteur was deep into his work on germs. He was already a hero for developing pasteurization, but this year he made a breakthrough that would save countless lives. While studying chicken cholera, he accidentally used a weakened, old culture of the bacteria to inoculate some chickens. To his surprise, the chickens got a little sick but didn't die. And when he later exposed them to a fresh, virulent strain of the same bacteria, they remained perfectly healthy. They were immune. He had stumbled upon the principle of vaccination using attenuated, or weakened, pathogens. This was a monumental leap forward. It wasn't just a vaccine for one disease, it was the discovery of a universal method for creating vaccines. This principle, discovered through a happy accident in 1879, would lead to vaccines for anthrax, rabies, and eventually, dozens of other diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. Think about the impact of vaccines on global health and life expectancy. The journey to that reality took a giant leap forward in 1879. But wait, there's more. The world was also getting smaller, and communication was getting faster. In 1879, a man named James Ritty, a saloon owner in Dayton, Ohio, was fed up with his bartenders stealing profits. While on a steamboat trip, he became fascinated by the mechanism that counted the propeller's rotations. A light bulb went off in his head, not Edison's, but a metaphorical one. When he returned, he and his brother invented a machine with a dial and keys for different monetary values. Every time a sale was made, the key was pressed, a bell rang to alert the manager, and the amount was recorded. He called it Ritty's incorruptible cashier. You know it today as the cash register. This simple device revolutionized retail. It brought accountability to business, helped prevent theft, and created the transactional record-keeping that is the backbone of the modern economy. Every time you hear that familiar cha-ching sound, or its modern digital equivalent, you're hearing an echo of 1879. The world wasn't just getting more connected through business. It was getting connected through ideas. Let's head to the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. A young and known patent clerk was working there, but in his spare time, he was dreaming up theories that would change our understanding of the universe. This man, of course, was Albert Einstein. And while his famous papers on relativity were still years away, 1879 was the year he was born. The mind that would later give us EMC, redefine gravity, and lay the groundwork for quantum mechanics and the atomic age, entered the world in 1879. The potential for the 20th century as scientific revolution was born in that year. So let's recap. In this one single year, 1879, we get the invention of the first practical light bulb, which conquered the night. We get the birth of modern psychology as a science, which allowed us to start mapping the human mind. We get the discovery of the principle behind modern vaccines, which would go on to save billions of lives. We get the invention of the cash register, which revolutionized commerce. And we get the birth of Albert Einstein, the mind that would redefine physics and our place in the cosmos. Individually, each of these events is significant. But together, happening in the same 12-month span, their synergy is breathtaking. It is like history was holding its breath and then exhaled a wave of innovation that created the very pillars of our modern existence. Electricity, scientific psychology, modern immunology, global commerce, and relativistic physics. All of these foundational elements have their roots firmly planted in 1879. It was the year of wars or revolutions in the traditional sense, but it was a year of a quiet, profound, and unstoppable revolution of ideas and inventions. It was the year the future arrived. It didn't announce itself with a bang, but with the soft glow of a filament, the tick of a clock in a lab, and the cry of a newborn baby. So next time you flip a light switch, or see a therapist, or get a vaccine, or even just buy a coffee, give a little thought to the incredible, pivotal, and in my opinion, the most important year in human history, 1879. What do you think? Is there another year you believe was more important? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this journey back in time, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. Thanks for watching.